Welcome back to Money Honeys. I'm talking to us, and I'm also talking to the audience and our listeners. Welcome back to Money Honeys. We are back, and we are broke.
Broke, babes. 2.0, and we're broke, babes.
You said that so warmly, though. You made it sound so inviting.
Settle down with your nice little cup of tea because we are broke.
Yeah.
We took about a year-long hiatus, but we're back. We feel beautiful.
Yeah.
And our pockets are empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, pockets have been fuller.
Yes.
They have been.
I will say, when we were shooting and filming and recording our last couple of episodes, I think the pockets were beginning to empty, but nothing too crazy. You know, it still felt, you could still see a light at the end of the tunnel. There were still opportunities that were arising. There was still hope.
Yeah.
Cut to.
But you know what?
All hope was lost.
It's true, but we're staying positive.
We are.
We really are.
This whole we're broke thing offers a fresh perspective to money and financial wellness on the pod, I'd like to think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the landscape, I honestly feel like across most fields, I would say like 75% of the fields that I think that, you know, the millennials are working in and doing work in have shifted tremendously in the last year. So many layoffs. Tech, which used to be one of the most stable lines of work, is now one of the most least stable lines of work. Never thought I would have been able to say that, and not this soon.
Yeah, that bubble burst, and it burst hard.
Yeah.
Everyone. It affected everyone.
And yeah, and it's just not tech. It's just not media. It's across the board because I've been seeing on my little TikTok. By the way, let's just blanket disclaimer. When we say I've been seeing or I've read an article, I think we can all safe to assume it is a TikTok.
TikTok, etc.
Yeah, etc. But, you know, a lot of these companies, blue chip companies like Maytag, like, you know, Kellogg's, they have record-setting profits last year, but they're not investing that money in R&D or into their overhead. They're investing that money into buying back shares, right? So it's not going to people. It's going into profits and inflating, you know, the top 1% of the company's bottom line.
Yeah.
It makes me so mad.
Even nonprofits are kind of having their own rounds of layoffs.
Really?
As well. Yeah. Like, so I now work, I'm a full-time girly now, so I work for a nonprofit, and there was a nonprofit just this week that had layoffs. I was like, wow, it's really like everyone, because nonprofits are dependent on donors. And so donations are kind of down across the board for a lot of different nonprofits because people's pockets are emptied. And so there just isn't as much to go around right now. People are a lot more precious with the money that they have.
Yeah.
Because we got to be.
Yeah.
And this also goes for even influencers, right? 4 years ago, brands were throwing money at influencers, throwing money at content creators for ads and marketing because it was cheaper than the traditional marketing styles. And that has changed and shifted so much. And I think that, honestly, brands are focusing more on content creators who are much more niche, who have a really small but dedicated audience.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so that really does shift things within the space. So yeah, bottom line is this is across everything.
Right.
Yeah.
But since we took a year off, right, because we had to, I think each one of us had to kind of focus on our own pockets and figure out what the hell we were going to do to keep the lights on. Let's start everything off. Like, what have we been doing in the past year to stay afloat? How have you been making your money this past year? Who wants to go first?
I can start. So this past year, and really the past, I could say confidently this past year, I was a full-time DJ.
Yeah, you were.
I wasn't doing any brand deals for Instagram. I wasn't really doing any other like freelance extracurricular gigs like, and like editing support or anything like that. I was truly just a full-time DJ. And that, as a new DJ at that, that was a learning experience. It was very humbling. And in general, like when you start something new and you're entering a new field or a new lane that's, maybe aligns with your creative, history and resume, but still very different expectations. People who have been in the game for 10, 15 years, you know what I mean? So
Ground up. You still got to start from the ground floor.
Got to start from the ground up. And DJing, unless you are a really big DJ and doing a bunch of corporate gigs all the time, or if you're like a house DJ and you're a producer and you have your own songs, I feel like those are the DJs that really, really, really are thriving financially. It really does, it varies by genre as well. Hip hop and R&B DJs in general, those DJs are not the star. It's the music that people are caring about, not necessarily the DJs. But with house DJs, people are coming because the DJ is the talent.
Right?
Zed, exactly.
Steve Aoki or whatever.
Yeah,
exactly. So they get paid big bucks for that kind of thing. So, and I think I'm honestly a combination of all the genres.
Yeah,
so
are.
that's been something I've had to navigate as well, figuring out where I fit in, how I can make the most out of what I feel the most passionate about in terms of genres and songs that I'm playing. But yeah, I mean, in LA, I would say gigs are, if I'm lucky, I get $400 to play for an hour. That's a good
rate.
That's a good rate. But it is 1 hour.
It's 1 hour.
Right.
And do you have to provide your own equipment?
No.
Okay.
So can just pull up and play, which is nice. But 400, I've had kind of a tough time, and it's 2024. I have upped my rate, so like $400 or $500 is what I'm comfortable getting per hour. Obviously, I'm flexible depending on the event, depending on the person. But in order to like actually make a living, you guys, like you have to advocate for yourself, And so in the last week, well, since the year started, I've been like, I actually need to find a job. Like I can't just do DJing full time anymore. It's starting to make me uncomfortable looking at my bank account. And so I'm like, I actually need a job. And my mom's been saying, Freddie, you need a job. And I'm like, okay, like I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. Like my LinkedIn is so outdated. I haven't been on there in a while. And I just started to feel very stuck and overwhelmed and like stepping back into, a full-time working or 9-to-5 space is just something that feels foreign to me at this point.
Because it's been like 5 years.
Yeah, and I know that I'm very fortunate to be able to say that. Like, I understand the privilege that goes along with that statement. And so this past week, I've just been more vocal about my needs and my struggles, and that has been actually very helpful for me. Like, putting my ego aside, when my friends ask me, how are you doing? Instead of just saying, I'm good, DJing is fun. I've been getting much more comfortable. And this is out of survival, saying like, honestly, I need a job. Like I need something to fill in the gaps while I'm still building my brand as a DJ. And so I got 2 jobs this week.
What? Frederica.
I know. I got 2 jobs this week. One of them is I'm going to be a production manager for an election campaign.
Oh.
So it's not for it's a nonpartisan campaign, so it's not for a particular candidate. It's for a movement. It's called My Body, My Prerogative. And so it's just to get women, specifically white women, to the polls during the primary cycles and for the big one to help us get some of our reproductive rights back. It's really just a reproductive justice fundraising campaign. And we are throwing parties. We have a really great concert series lined up for the summertime to raise money and raise awareness and get people registered to vote. We have really, really big talent who's already attached and has already agreed to do it. So it's going to be me production managing all of these events.
And I think that's like also just kind of comes with being a creative. It's like all of us have so many different passions. And so it's kind of just like, okay, which one is able to pay us right now? It's like there's time. We will get to it.
I actually was listening to a podcast episode recently that a friend sent me because I was complaining to her about my money woes. And it's just basically like a little series on how to manifest money. And so after listening to that episode, I consider these 2 new jobs as bridge manifestations. And bridge manifestations isn't necessarily the end goal, right? It's not exactly where I want to be, like in an ideal world. Like, do I want to be, organizing Gmail for someone? Not really, but
Maybe.
Yeah, but no, I mean, it's for there's a bigger picture here,
Right.
and it will help to get me to my ultimate goals, which is the final, manifestation space that I want to be in. So I got very woo-woo really quickly.
We love it.
Yeah, we have to.
I
Get
love a
little woo.
brujeria moment.
Yeah. But
Light those candles, girl.
Exactly. So I found roles that fit within a space that I feel comfortable, that I'm also passionate about,
Yeah.
which will get me to the larger thing later. So these jobs are bridge manifestations. I'm like leaning into it, and also too, I've never done either of these things before.
No, that's not true. That's not true. You were an NBC page. That is like being EA work
True.
times a billion.
True.
Also,
That's true. I was like, yeah, you're so right. Devin's like, I'm sorry, we need to check the facts here.
check the
We're just
facts.
blindly accepting everything
Yeah.
you said.
Then also, when we were on Ladylike, we were all each other's production
That's
manager.
true.
100%.
That's true.
You
Like,
know what you're talking about.
I definitely feel comfortable with the tasks that I'm
Yeah.
being given. I think it's just, one of those, the little imposter syndrome.
Sure.
Sneaking in. Like, I don't have production manager on my resume. But if you look at my resume and see all the things that I've done, you're like, oh, these are all tasks.
You were doing it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was doing it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
by a different name.
Yeah.
I want to backtrack really fast because you dropped a term that I was like, ooh, what is that? What is a corporate DJ?
Corporate DJ. Corporate DJ is a DJ that Nike calls when they're doing activations for like a brand campaign, and you get paid
Nike dollars.
for it. So you can be spinning for 3 hours and make $5,000 to $7,000.
But that's what you did for like Netflix. You've already are kind of like a corporate DJ. I feel like.
Yeah, so I've done one-offs in corporate spaces. So those have been, I would say I've probably gotten like 4 or 5 in the last 2 years of DJing. I've gotten like 4 or 5 really well-paying corporate DJing gigs, which I'm really grateful for. But there's some DJs that I follow multiple a week.
Yeah. I have a friend who's a corporate DJ.
Silence.
Uh-huh.
I was like, do I say his name or not?
No, yeah.
Like, should we speak a man's name? I don't know. He's very sweet.
Not on this podcast.
But
Not
we-
our first
yeah,
one. Time
yeah.
back. Maybe later. Another episode.
We shall not speak his name. He's very sweet. He might be listening.
That's good.
yeah, he's a sweet guy.
So you have a corporate DJ, but then I have questions like, how much would a club like Tao pay versus like a club like in LA? It's a kind of local bar place, like no vacancy.
Yeah.
Right.
Not to bring up Zed again, but that's truly my only barometer for is Tao a club that Zed would play? Is
Yeah.
is that the
Yeah.
caliber? Okay.
That's like Vegas, Tao.
okay.
Yeah.
I knew it was Vegas, but I was like,
There's also one in LA too.
There is.
Mhm.
In New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh.
they're everywhere. But
Oh.
they're a big chain. They're like
Yeah.
Oh.
serious.
okay.
They would probably charge, they would probably pay whatever the DJ's rate is.
Wow.
So you could, Zed.
Zed. The sole point of reference. Yes,
Yeah.
Zed. I do love his music.
Yeah, Zed would probably get $20K for 2 hours at
Whoa.
the low end.
Oh.
What?
And that's the low end.
My God.
That's the low end.
But he also, that's his bespoke music.
Right. So it's like if you're a DJ who's spinning all your own music, that's a different level.
Dang.
More
That's a
than
different-
20K?
Oh yeah.
Like
Side.
You
like
know
a bajillion?
Do you know who the highest paid DJ is?
Ooh, that's a great question. ISP.
Zed?
Is it DJ Khaled?
It's not.
Oh, wait, give us a hint.
I'm trying to think.
It's a woman.
Oh, I love that.
Definitely would know her. She's been in the spotlight for years, since the early 2000s. She is low. She came before the very, very, very famous family that we're all very familiar with.
Jacksons.
Within the social media space.
Oh,
Kardashians.
Yes.
So she came before the
I love them.
Kardashians.
Y'all know I love them.
Yeah,
She
you're a
like
big
she
fan.
jump started them.
She jump started them. I have no clue.
Yes, tell us.
Paris Hilton.
That's right. She DJs now.
Oh, she does. Even if the stars are crazy, even if the stars are blind, instead of stars are steady.
This is when everyone just like
Yeah.
logs off from listening to us.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
She
Old
DJs.
PH.
She gets bank. I mean, but she also takes it really seriously. Like,
She does.
listen, I've been watching her reality show From Paris with Love, and she really dives deep into like her passion for DJing, how seriously she takes it, that it is her happy space, and you know how she was going to manage DJing and traveling and doing all the things she loves while also having a family and like having really, really big fears about that, which is also how I feel. So I was very, very tapped in. I'm a Paris Hilton girly now.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm about it.
Yeah,
I'm about it.
And she gets paid insane amounts. But yeah, all that to say, I would love to reach Paris Hilton
Hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
bank account numbers from DJing.
So, what is sharing this hustle with your partner like? Because he's also DJing.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think that we both try. It's like we both try to like put each other on where we can, where it's like, because we also will DJ together. And by together, I mean like back to back. So people will, when it's just me DJing, it's my name on the flyer. When it's just my boyfriend DJing, it's just his on the flyer. And then people will book us as a duo to DJ. So then we're playing together song for song, going back and forth.
So
Yeah.
I am going to sob a DJ love story.
Yeah. It's cute. It's cute. It's cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a balance, right? It's like, but to be fair, sometimes I do just want to play by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Sure.
and that's just a thing that we like. That's a conversation that we have, and it's a conversation that I also have with myself, right? So it's like, it's depending on the gig, doing back to back sometimes isn't necessarily like the vibe, because it's hard to like get into a groove when you're playing back to back with anyone.
Yeah.
It's definitely a skill, and it's something you have to practice, and you have to be in like complete alignment with the other person that you're DJing with, because you can be on totally different vibes, and then it doesn't work.
So you don't go in with a set list that you prep together.
We do.
Okay.
But when I play by myself, not all the time, because I can just kind of like hop around, do whatever I want. But like when we're playing together, like if he goes off and plays something that like we didn't discuss beforehand, I do get a little cranky.
Of course, little fussy.
Yeah.
You're like, I was told.
Yeah.
Who's your man? I need to speak to the manager.
Yeah, but I will say like the same happens on his end as well. Like he's just much more free flowing with it, and I'm a control freak. So that's why sometimes. So I would love to be just kind of like, ooh, freestyle, free flowing. Let's just play whatever. Like, let's just read the crowd and try out things and see what they respond to. Yes, you should do that, but also I like to prepare. I like to know what's coming.
That's fair.
Yeah. Especially if you're tag teaming with someone.
Yeah.
Then it feels really important to do that. And I remember even with your own individual DJing, you were saying that you wanted to get to that point where you could just be free flowing, but you felt like you had to be super prepared and dedicated to your set list. So even the fact that now you're able to do that in the individual setting, so it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, that we'll be able to just freestyle together, and that'll definitely come with just like time, experience, like different gigs, like us just like continuing to like beat the pavement. But yeah, I will say like as when I'm DJing by myself, I'm able to like freestyle.
I love that.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Do they pay you equal to him?
Yes.
That's good.
Yes, they do.
And do you get paid
Bliss.
like double when you both are going in, or do you give them like a friends and family discount?
So we just do.
Oh, what?
Yeah, no. So we don't get paid double. I actually do think I get paid less when we're playing together.
Oh,
Because
my
there's-
God.
so it's 1 hour, right? So say my rate is $400. They're not going to pay us each $400 for just 1 hour. They're going to have us split it.
Yeah.
Just now, if it was like, but like we did Mr. and Mrs. Smith
Mm-hmm.
in New York, and we were hired as a duo, and we got paid great for that because
Sure.
it was a corporate
Yeah.
DJing gig.
Yeah.
So yeah, when it's like just small gigs here and there, I do get paid less when we play together, which is fine. But that's why I do try to like transparently like manage the amount of gigs like that I'm doing in comparison to the ones by myself, just to make sure I'm not losing money throughout it.
Yeah. How many gigs a week have you been doing?
I would say this year, I would say on average maybe 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that's where, because I was trying to do the math where I'm like, okay, 400 for a single hour of work is an incredible rate.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's just, what's the frequency
Mm-hmm.
of that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of times for smaller parties, like that rate can be a little high. I think
Sure.
I think on average, like for just like parties in the city, $250 for an hour is like standards, which works. Like it works, especially if it's like I don't have anything else coming in. Someone offering me a gig for $250.
Sure.
No, that's not my rate, but I'll do it.
Yep.
You know.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is like just balance. It's so much balance, and it's so much just checking in to ask
Do
for
they-
hire.
Do they ever book you for more than an hour? Because like I go to parties occasionally, and I like to spend more than an hour at them.
Yeah.
You know what? So I don't want the music to cut off. Like,
yeah.
Well, there's
Cause-
usually a
It's
lineup,
a lineup
right?
of DJs.
Yeah.
but like
So each person takes an hour.
What
for,
if-
like 4 hours?
it's a 4-hour thing. Would they ever just book 2 DJs?
So I actually like as we've discussed, I like throwing my own parties and events. I like doing less DJs.
Yeah.
More time, because an hour really is short. It flies.
It does.
And also, it's just, it has become very standard. Like having multiple DJs for a party isn't like how it's been done in the past. I would say that's really started ramping up within the last like 5 years. And it's just, and as time has gone on, people have added more and more and more DJs. Like there's been some parties where it's like 30-minute set times.
I don't like that
Whoa.
And I don't love it. I don't love it.
because
don't.
you hear songs multiple times. I feel like.
Multiple times, or you get to play like 30 minutes and a minute and a half per song. Like you really only get like a few songs. Like it's like
Right.
Yeah.
15 to 20 songs that you're able to play. And also the pay, it's for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. So actually, the gig that I have today is an hour and a half set, which is nice, and I'm getting $500 for it. So
Nice.
it's like,
Okay.
yeah, it's like that works for me. You know, in terms of like still building my brand, still being able to get my name out there, but also walk away feeling like, okay, I feel like I'm getting my worth.
Right.
You know.
Right. Why do you think there is an increase of having a multiple DJ lineup? Is there just an increase in DJs?
Yeah, I think there's an increase in DJs, and I think that party curators think that the more DJs you have, the more people you have sharing the flyer,
Right.
more people will come. And like the higher the bar numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that true? Is that usually what happens? Because I can see that being
Yeah.
true.
I think there's truth to it,
Yeah.
but I think that you don't need 5 DJs for a 4-hour party, or you know what I mean? Like I don't know if you need it.
I'd be getting whiplash.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to hold my little drinky poo.
Yeah.
And bust my little tiny moves.
Yeah, and then it's
And so I'd be like, who's this? Oh my
Right.
God, who's this?
and then
Right.
you know, booking the DJs. Hopefully, they all kind of have a similar vibe where it feels seamless in between each DJ, but a lot of times that's not the case.
Yeah.
So it is kind of whiplashy
Yeah.
and, you know, shorter sets and all these things. But like listen, I'm not here to judge other people's parties and
Right,
what
right.
they want to do. But I do think that it's valuable to at least have a DJ play for a full hour, if not an hour and a half, because they can really get in their bag. And I just think that, having less names on a flyer too makes it less crowded. The aesthetics, it just feels a little bit more refined in that way. But yeah, it going to parties, playing at multiple different types of parties has really informed the way I want to curate my own events, which has been a really cool learning experience.
What's it like to see the other side of the curtain of parties? Like, has it ruined going to parties for you? Because I think it would for me,
Yeah. It's
For all the parties that we go to.
well, it's funny because I necessarily wouldn't say it's ruined them, but I'm much more aware and critical.
Like
And, I
going
have
to a
notes.
movie after film school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I have notes. I have feedback.
Yeah.
Why,
I would have put the drinks over there.
I would have put the drinks over there. The restrooms, not enough.
Yep.
So
I gotta have you walk through our wedding venue.
I would love to.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I enjoy it. Like I enjoy event curation and figuring out flow. Like I'm still learning flow. Like flow throughout a party or throughout an event throughout the night in terms of like foot traffic is really, really important.
Yeah.
And you don't think about that necessarily if you're, a first time, if you're just like throwing something together. It's like, oh, it's a party. Like this is here, that's there. It's something you learn over time. And I'm still not an expert, but it's something that I do tap into just to like put in my back pocket for, skills as a budding event curator
Yeah.
and producer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's just like I feel like all these things that you're talking about are just things that you're very inherently good at. Like they're just kind of part of your personality.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's like not hard to see you as like an event director or a program manager, or even being like, yeah, I will consult for your event, or, like just kind of all these different things where it's like, yeah, it makes sense. Because that's Fred.
Yeah, and
I
it's
love
interesting to like see you at this point because these parts of you have always been so clear to us as your friends, and you're at the point where you're trying to convince other people and get the pen to paper experience, quote unquote.
Get the money
for it, and that's the hardest part. I feel like, and that's what this past year has been for all of us. I feel like it's just like, how do you monetize your gifts? And what's the return on investment and chasing those dreams using your gifts?
Yeah.
And then also, what don't you monetize? And what do you keep for
you.
yourself? Because like I'm someone who has a ton of hobbies, and like over time, especially this past year, people have been like, post this, like put this on TikTok, do that on TikTok. I'm like, no, this is just for me. It's like I'm posting to my close friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not to say that wouldn't change, but I'm like, no, right now, like this can be for me.
It's for me.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
What are your financial goals?
Gotta send this email. Sorry, y'all. Okay.
We literally stopped recording to assess our thoughts and to process. And then you said, okay, let's go. And then you sent an email.
And then I sent an email. I'm still learning balance. We're all learning.
You could have said, give me 5 seconds, and you didn't. Instead, you said, roll the tape. I'm going to send this email.
I'm going to let you wait. Fred is still Fred.
The girl hasn't
Reclaiming
changed.
my time.
Yeah.
So, Fred, let's talk numbers. Last year, how much did we make?
Okay, so last year we made about $45,000
From DJing alone.
from DJing. There's a brand deal in there. There's one brand deal in there, and there is one event curation gig in there, which I got $2,000 for, which was great.
Yeah. No, it's good experience. Not enough money.
Right.
But good experience.
Yeah. Made about $45,000 last year.
How would you translate $45,000 to someone who might be listening in Virginia? How much money is that?
Still not enough. Still not enough in Virginia. I mean, I think it's it's low. That
Yeah.
feels like almost like internship rate. If you're able to like live at home, you're okay. Or don't have a ton of support, you're okay.
Mhm.
Or if you have support, you're okay. But I don't think that any adult with all the inflation right now
And expenses.
car insurance. I mean, health insurance and car insurance took me out last year as a freelancer.
Yep.
I mean, and that's one change that my partner was able to help me out with. Like I'm now, he has a full-time job, W-2 job, so he added me to his health insurance.
Are you in domestic partners now?
We are domestic partners
Yep.
now.
I did that.
Yeah, because it just $700 a month was
Yep.
what I
Too
was
much.
paying.
Because they
Too
base it off
much.
of your income the prior year.
Yep.
And that's where they get you.
I was like, I am drowning here. Like, I actually need help. So, this is a safe space, and it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to accept help, as
Absolutely.
long as it's clear that you are figuring it out and doing the work to, like, get yourself, into a better position. I think, that's something that those are changes, positive changes that I think will put me in a better space to not feel so stressed out about money. But this year, my goal, I would love to double that. I would love to just simply double that 45K and make, what is that, 90 by the end of the year through these various
Let's round up.
things.
100.
100.
There we go.
100K I'd like to make this year in 2024.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Y'all heard it here first. Miss FK Ransom. 100, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've had this thought many times looking for jobs. How does it make you feel knowing that that's something 100K mark? You made that in like what, 2018?
Yeah, I mean, I was making, as a full-time girly in 2018, was making close to 100K, and that was outside of the brand deals that I was able to
Right.
get at that point and at BuzzFeed as well. So I was getting that additional income plus that steady check from BuzzFeed.
Does it feel like a step back?
It does feel like a step back. It feels like, when you're in your 30s and as you get older in your 30s, you're told that like it's so much better because you have so much more money. And that's what I've been looking forward to. I've been excited to age and grow within my 30s because I love luxury.
Yep.
I do. And so the idea so last year was modest in terms of like, quote unquote luxury or things that I would normally, be like, oh yeah, why not just upgrade my flight just to have better seats because I can, versus like, okay, yeah, I'm in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the back and I'm in the middle. Hello.
Economy base line where they're like, you get a satchel
Yeah.
and nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of where last year was, and I'm going to maintain that vibe this year just to make sure that I'm not overspending or living above my means. But, I think it's really just about reframing. I mean, it's about reframing my idea of what money represents, but also just where the landscape is overall within the workforce and that everyone is dealing with it. I mean, there's a small percentage of people who are not. And the only reason, audience listeners, please, the only reason that I'm not like crying on this podcast is because I've been able to save and do a really good job with that to give me, a cushion in case things were to go awry, and things have absolutely gone awry. So I'm okay. And I say that to encourage you to take saving seriously. We all encourage you to like try to diversify your portfolios, just do whatever you can to protect yourself so that you can try out these different methods of making money instead of jumping straight into, a 9-to-5 desk job if there are other options available.
Mm-hmm. And like, the only thing that I want to add to that is just like, there are no step backs, like there's a lot that can be said for my life where it's like, oh my God, massive step backs. But it's like, no,
Yeah.
they're not. They're happening. They're happening to you. They might not be convenient. They might not be what you want. It might not be what you planned, but they're happening. And so how do you operate within that? How do you find peace within that? And will there be meaning at some point? Maybe, or maybe not. But that's what you got. What are you going to do with it? You know, where it's like, for me, it's like, I wasn't even booking. I wasn't even on the flight, you know, like it wasn't even economy bait, nothing. I was like, I was not even on the flight.
Yeah.
Whereas like there are really positive things that can kind of come out of some really deep lows where it's just like, oh, the goal, what's my goal for the year? I'm pull a Beyonce, to be happy, you know, where it's just like, the goal is you wake up. The goal is you have peace. The goal is you have stability with yourself and who you are. The goal is you have amazing people around you. You know, it's like people feed you literally and metaphorically, you know, it's the people in your life. It's the love in your life. Like even out of some really dark moments, it's like you can have so much love in your life. And that is the true richness. Truly.
Yeah.
Love don't cost a thing.
Yeah, it's very true.
And on that note, I think we should wrap things up and say goodbye to our listeners somehow.
Bye.
No, not just the bye, not the errant bye.
Bye. The airy bye. Hilarious.
Bye. Okay, so that's enough. Bye.
Bye.
No, Fred, but thank you so much for sharing your truth and vulnerability with us about like where you've been the past year. Where the hell have we been the past year as we're grappling? Because, you know, I felt this way driving over here. I'm like, you know, we're about to go record our financial podcast and all three of us are in a valley. Like, who the hell are we to have a financial podcast, right? But at the same time, it's like, no, this is real life. We're not going to come on here and try to sell you some bullshit way to make money. No, we are going to tell you about how we grapple with ones and zeros from a realistic perspective, sharing our truth because it's all we can do.
Yeah. And again, like, you're not alone if you're feeling financial woes or any kind of stress around finances. I mean, in general, we started this podcast because we all have some level of anxiety about money. We're talking about that we were making, you know, XYZ amount 3 years ago, but even when we were doing that, we still had concerns and anxiety about money. And it's all based on, a large part of it is based on just how we grew up and our relationship to it. And so we want to make sure that we're providing that comfort and support for anyone else who feels like, you know, that pit in your stomach when you look at your bank account.
Yeah. Join us next week. We're going to talk about either Chantel or me and where the hell we've been.
Bye.